everyone, it's Zahava. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am going to show you a little mini book haul. I spent $38 on books, $39.50 if you count the taxes that I paid on the new books, and I want to show you what they are. Now, I didn't want to title this video book haul because we do a lot of book hauls. This was really just to show you guys how you can spend less and get some really nice books if you know where to shop, or if you have these types of stores in your area. One of them that I went to was Librairie Clio, who I have spoken to you guys about on the channel before, and that is an independent bookstore in my area. And the second is the Hudson War Memorial Library Sale, which they hold every month at the first, I think it starts the first Sunday of the month, except for July and August when they don't run on Sundays because people go out, you know, they camp, they do things, their weekends are busy. So usually it would run the first Sunday of the month until the following Saturday. And because the Hudson War Memorial Library is volunteer run, they only have certain library hours during the week, which doesn't really make sense for me to go to because of the traffic and the distance and all of that. So I do try to go at least once a month because I can get some really, really good deals there, which hardcover books are $3 there, and softcover, like trade paperbacks, are $2. And that's what I ended up paying for a lot of the books. So I'm going to show you guys what they are. Now, these books are, some of them are new and some of them are just new to me. And then we will look at what I spent versus what the cover price was of those books. And then, you know, you'll see what I saved altogether. So the first books I'm going to show you are the ones that I picked up at the independent bookstore. Now, they have a section, if you guys have seen my videos before, they have a section where you can buy books for their brand new books, 2 for $10. The reason they do that, I guess, is because they have to liquidate their inventory somehow. I heard one of their employees say that they do their inventory once a year, usually in May. So I tried to go at the end of May to see whatever books they still had left over. I don't know if they add to those shelves periodically throughout the year. I imagine that they do because there's always the same kind of quantity there. And yeah, I just picked up 6 books at that store. So that cost me $30. It was $31.50 because we do pay a 5% GST here on books in Canada. So yeah, I want to show you guys what they are. And they're like in no particular order. So the first one that I have here is What a Way to Go by Bella Mackie. So I'll read you a bit about the back. It says, Anthony Wistern is a wealthy, beyond imagination, fragrant wife, gaggle of photogenic children, French chateau, Cotswold manor, plethora of mistresses, penchant for cutting moral corners, tick, 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 tick. Unfortunately for him, he's also dead. Suddenly poised to inherit his fortune, each member of the family falls under suspicion. And that's when everything comes crashing down. So I picked this one up mostly because of the cover, also because it's a little bit murder mystery. I think it's giving Knives Out a little bit. So I definitely think that I could have a really good time with this one. I think this is a UK edition, a UK cover. The reason I'm guessing that is because there is a UK price on it. So it would be £14.99, and the Canadian cover price is $24.99. And for this one, I paid just $5, and it's brand new. And I just want to say, now that I've shown you the first book, okay, I know that there's going to be some viewers that are going to say, wait a second, you know, you could have saved 100% had you not bought these books in the first place. And I get it. If I hadn't been able to find such good deals on these books, I probably wouldn't have bought them, and that's the truth. But we're going to suspend our disbelief, and we're just going to enjoy the fact that I was able to get some really good savings on books which I would not have otherwise been able to permit myself to buy if I wasn't getting all these savings. So I just want to put that in parentheses for those of you that are wondering, you know, if I would have bought these books at full price, probably not. So there's just that caveat. Okay. Also in that 2 for $10 section, I found a copy of Matt Haig's The Life Impossible. Now this, as some of you may know, is the same author that wrote The Midnight Library. And I think that I took out The Life Impossible from the library a few weeks ago and never read it and ended up having to return it. So this is much better. I haven't read Matt Haig yet. I'm thinking I'm probably going to like it based on what other people are saying, but for $5 for a brand new book, I decided to take a chance. Worst comes to worst, I could always unhaul it. But for now, I have it, and I don't have the stress of having it be a library read and the stress of having to return it because somebody else is potentially waiting for it. So this one cost me $5. The cover price on this one is $25.99 Canadian. So it's a savings of $20.99. The next book that I picked up in the 2 for $10 section is the sequel in the Hurricane Wars duology. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy, but I do have the first one in the series in paperback format. This is a hardcover. I haven't read it yet, but I heard really, really good things. So the reason I picked this up is because it was $5. So on the off chance that I really like the Hurricane Wars, the first book in this duology, and I want to read the second one. I have it at a really good price. It's not the type of book that you would come across at a thrift store too often, and Book Outlet would have cost me minimum of $9.99 if they weren't running a sale. And also, whenever they would get a copy of this, probably it would sell out really quickly, too quickly for me to have a chance to place an order. So the fact that I saw this available at the independent bookstore for this reduced price, I mean, I just couldn't leave it behind. This is also a sprayed edge copy, and on the inside flap, I have the US and Canadian cover price. So the US price would be $32 and the Canadian price was $39.50. So it's a savings of $34.50 for me were I to have bought it at full price. I kind of also did the same thing with a sequel to The Three-Body Problem. Now, this one here is Death's End. And for those of you who are not aware, this is actually book number 3 in the series and not book number 2. And I think there's 4 out in this series already. And no, if you're asking if I've read The Three-Body Problem, no, I haven't read it yet. I do have it though. And because this one was available to me at only $5, instead of paying the cover price of $26.99 Canadian, I really felt like I had to take it home because, again, for the same reason as I took home A Monsoon Rising, I knew that if I liked the series, eventually I would end up spending money, getting the book, trying to collect them, and I may as well have just reserved it for myself at this great price tag. So $19.99 US dollars, $26.99 Canadian, a savings of $21.99. I also found a nonfiction called Waste Wars. This is about the wild afterlife of your trash. So what happens basically to your garbage? Where does it go? What happens to it? Etc., which I thought could be really interesting. It's kind of giving me the feeling of something that Mary Roach would write. I don't know if it's going to be funny. I've read pretty much everything that Mary Roach has written, and I know that when she writes her books, she has sort of a humorous kind of take on things. So I've never read this author before. I don't really know where it's going, but I think it could be a really interesting ride. I also really love the cover. Like for a nonfiction, I feel like this is very, very attractive. This one costs $5. The cover price is 42 Canadian or 32 US. So for me, it was a savings of $37. And then lastly, I found this really cool book called Awakened. This one, I'm not gonna lie, I bought it as much for the subject matter as I did for the cover, because the cover is just so fun and super duper attractive. And this one here is like a sci-fi type book based on a coven of witches, which I thought was really fun. Like you could see the tarot cards and stuff on the cover of this book. There is a little rip in the dust jacket. I don't know if you guys can see that, if it's gonna focus the camera, but that's fine because again, this is one that I paid $5 for at the independent bookstore. The cover price for this, were I to buy it new from the independent bookstore and not from a discount chain like Indigo or Amazon, would be 29 US dollars or 39 Canadian dollars. It is a hardcover. I'll read you what it's about because I think that there's some of you guys that may actually be interested in picking this one up. On a morning much like any other, 30-something queer Brooklynite Wilder makes the miraculous discovery. Suddenly, as if by magic, they can understand every language in the world. Dazed and disconnected, Wilder is found and taken in by a small coven of trans witches who have all become awakened with mystical powers of their own. Quibble, a handsome portal traveler, Artemis, the group's caretaker and seer, and Mary Margaret, a smart-ass teen with telekinetic powers, all work to make the cagey and suspicious Wilder feel comfortable both within their group and with the knowledge that magic is, in fact, real. Just as Wilder is finding their footing, a malicious AI threatens to dismantle the delicate balance of the coven and the world as they know it. Newly assembled and tenuously bound, the group scrambles to stay united as they parse the difference between difficulty and deadly, asking themselves continuously, is any consciousness, be it artificial, material, or magical, too dangerous to exist? Awakened is an exhilarating, hilarious, and thought-provoking reflection on the ways that we are responsible for creating our own realities, a story of finding community, and a meditation on what it means to have a body, and if it might be far worse, never to have had one at all. So this, again, I had never heard of this book. I had never seen anyone around the bookish community talk about this one, but again, it was as much about the subject matter as it was about the cover, and this one was a $34 savings. Okay, so the next place that I went to was a pet store out in Hudson, and a couple of weeks back they were holding a fundraiser where they were selling some books that all the profits of the sales would go to a dog rescue. I don't know if you guys saw that video. I went back to that pet store basically, and they've got these like big cubicles, these IKEA shelves that they have right at the entrance where the books that you could pick up from there are actually free. So it's kind of like a leave a book, take a book. I actually went and took a handful of books to a Little Free Library that's not officially registered on the Little Free Library network out there. They have it outside of some accounting office or something. So that library was actually really, really full. So I was only able to leave a couple of books behind. I really had to reorganize organize it and kind of shove the books into the little corner there. But in the end, I had 3 or 4 books left over. And when I went to the pet store, I asked them, do you guys take donations? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I was gonna buy some books, and I asked the girl, how much are the books if I find anything? And she says, oh, they're free. I said, wow, that's great. So I picked up a couple of books there. The 2 that I picked up for free are The Housemaid's Secret. Now, as you can see, this is pretty much a brand new book. It doesn't even look like it's been touched or read, honestly. And the price of this one, were I to have bought it new, is $12.99 US or $16.99 Canadian. And of course, I got this one for free. I can't even believe it. Like, it's in such good shape. It doesn't even look like it was opened. It's like somebody bought it and then decided they were going to DNF or, you know, just didn't want to read it or something. But I had actually just finished this week reading The Housemaid, which I've had on my physical TBR since something like October of last year. And I, like, honestly really enjoyed The Housemaid. It was a book that took me about a day to finish. I pretty much read it in what could be considered one sitting, so I was happy to find this one, and even better to see it in such great condition and not to have paid anything for it. So I got really lucky for this, so total savings $16.99. Then I found an independently published book called The Relic Thief by Jill Chard, and what's super interesting about this one is a little bit later at the library sale that I went to, there was also a copy of this book there, which would have cost $2, but at the pet store it was on their little cubicle shelf, which next time when I go there, I'll try and get you guys some footage, because I think I might go back this upcoming weekend, because as I said before, the library sale runs from Sunday to Saturday. So I thought that I would go back on the Saturday because there's a good chance that the books are going to sort of cycle out. They're going to add new books as the books sell off the tables. So I'm going to go back on Saturday and see if there's anything else. But The Relic Thief was at the pet store in the free book section. Again, it is a brand new independently published book. It is also signed by the author, which I don't know if that's going to come into focus for you. There it is, happy reading, and it's signed by the author. Like, how crazy. Not so crazy as it turns out. So when I looked it up, I read the author bio, and she actually lives in Hudson, Quebec. So she lives in the town where this pet store is located and where the library sale is happening, but she's originally from Ontario, Canada, and she moved to Hudson, and this is where she lives, and I assume she writes. So the fact that I found this book both at the pet store and at the library sale means that she probably had a book signing somewhere very close, and either she had some extra books that she donated, or people ended up, you know, circulating the books around somehow. But when I tell you it's a brand new copy that I got for free, you gotta believe me. Like, it is brand spanking new, signed by the author. I'll read to you what it's about. It says, Neela cares nothing for destiny. She steals relics for the danger. Running the roofs, evading guards, and dodging traps in her pursuit of these coveted but illegal artifacts makes her heart race, reminds her that she's more than just the ghost of a girl forced to flee her homeland. Danger turns deadly, however, when a cloaked stranger lures her into a plot to rekindle a magic that once destroyed a world. Destiny is driving her down a path of horror and darkness, and she must change its course before she loses everything. The Relic Thief, The Other Side of Darkness, Book 1, so this is book 1 in a series, I don't know if the other ones are out yet, is a provocative and thrilling fast-paced hope punk fantasy full of heists, monsters, pirates, zombies, and a backstory that will cut your heart out. So I think that there's a really good chance that I'm really going to enjoy this one. Hopefully I will be able to buy a copy that supports the author directly next time. But as I said, this one was free at the pet store. It's absolutely brand new. If that sounds interesting to you, I suggest that you look it up. You know, you could probably pick up a copy of that pretty easily. This book would have cost $16.99 Canadian, but again, I got it for free. So now I'm going to show you the books that I picked up at the library sale. And just so you guys know, I paid $2 for each of these books because, again, the paperbacks were $2 each. And I think if you got mass market paperbacks, they were a little bit cheaper. But I'm not really sure what the price was because I didn't find any mass market paperbacks, and I don't really like to read those anyway. So I'm just going to show you the trade paperbacks that I picked up. I did look for some hardcover ones, and as I've mentioned, those are $3 each. If you guys remember a previous video where I got a copy of Gargoyle and a copy of The Nightingale, those all came from that same library, and those were $3 each. But the ones that I got yesterday were $2 each. So the first one that I'm going to show you is The Crash by Frida McFadden. So again, it is because I really like The Housemaid. I understand that this one is a standalone. I'd like to see what she does when it's not part of a series, and because, I don't know, I guess it was just a Frida McFadden day for me. So, or a Frida McFadden weekend, I should say, because as I said, I just finished reading The Housemaid 2 days before filming this video. So it was a Frida McFadden weekend. We have The Crash, and the cover price of this one actually was not written because I'm pretty sure that this was an ARC, so I had to look it up, and the cover price of this one would be $24.99, but of course I paid $2, so it's a savings of $22.99. Next, I found a copy of The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin, and this one is like a family saga type of thing, so I want to say that it's lit thick from what I could gather. It's 1969 in New York City's Lower East Side, and word has spread of the arrival of a mystical woman, a traveling psychic who claims to be able to tell anyone the day they will die. The Gold Children, 4 adolescents on the cusp of self-awareness, sneak out to hear their fortunes. The prophecies inform their next 5 decades. Golden Boy Simon escapes to the West Coast, searching for love in 80s San Francisco. Dreamy Clara becomes a Las Vegas magician, obsessed with blurring reality and fantasy. Eldest son Daniel struggles to maintain security as an army doctor post 9/11, and bookish Varya throws herself into longevity research, where she tests the boundaries between science and immortality. Both a dazzling family love story and a sweeping novel of remarkable ambition and depth, The Immortalist probes the lines between destiny and choice, reality and illusion, this world and the next. It is a deeply moving restatement to the power of story, the nature of belief, and the unrelenting pull of familial bonds. So yeah, I mean, I really like the cover of this one. I found it very, very attractive. The cover price is $16 US. 22 Canadian, so for me, a savings of $20. Then I finally picked up a copy of The Sisters Brothers, okay? And this is one that I've talked to you guys before about on the channel because I seem to see it in like every thrift store that I go to. And finally, because again, the books at this War Memorial Library sale are in like pristine condition. Like they're almost like new. They're in such great shape. And so because I've seen this book in so many places, I figured I may as well just bite the bullet. Hermit Kermit Worm is gonna die. The enigmatic and powerful man known only as the Commodore has ordered it, and his henchmen Eli and Charlie's sisters will make sure of it. Though Eli doesn't share his brother's appetite for whiskey and killing, he's never known anything else. But their prey isn't an easy mark, and on the road from Oregon City to Worm's gold mining claim outside Sacramento, Eli begins to question what he does for a living and whom he does it for. So these guys are hitmen. With The Sisters Brothers, Patrick DeWitt pays homage to the classic Western, transforming it into an unforgettable comic tour de force. Filled with a remarkable cast of characters, losers, cheaters, and ne'er-do-wells from all stripes of life, and told by a complex and compelling narrator, it's a violent, lustful odyssey through the underworld of the 1850s frontier that beautifully captures the humor, melancholy, and grit of the Old West, and two brothers bound by blood, violence, and love. So it's a hitman story, and I think it could be a really good time. I'm hoping so in any case. So this one, like I said, costs $2. The cover price for this is $22.95 Canadian, so a savings of $20.95. And then the last book that I picked up is Himself by Jess Kidd. So this is going to be another sort of magical realism one. I have The Night Ship by Jess Kidd. I haven't read it yet, but I hear really good things about this author, and I just thought that I would take a chance as it sounds like it could be a very interesting read. And though the author is familiar to me, the book itself was not. Abandoned on the steps of an orphanage as an infant, Dublin charmer Mahoney assumed all his life that his mother had simply given him up. But when he receives a tip suggesting that foul play may have led to her disappearance, he decides to return to the rural Irish village where he was born to learn what really happened 26 years earlier. From the moment he sets foot in Mulderig, Mahoney's presence causes a stir among the locals, who receive him with a mixture of curiosity, the men, excitement, the women, and suspicion, the pious. It seems that his mother had left quite an impression on this little town, dearly beloved to some, a scourge and a menace to others. But who would have had reason to get rid of her for good? Determined to find answers, Mahoney solicits the help of a brash pot stirrer and retired actress, Mrs. Cawley, and the two concoct an ingenious plan to get the town talking, aided and abetted by a cast of eccentric characters. Gradually, his personal mission becomes a quiet revolution, but what his enemies seem to forget is that Mahoney has the dead on his side. Centering on a small town rife with secrets and propelled by a twisting and turning plot, Himself is a gem of a book, darkly comic mystery, and beautiful tribute to the magic of language, legacy, and storytelling. So this one again cost me $2. The cover price for this is $24.99 Canadian, and so it is a savings of $22.99. So here you have it, guys. This is the pile of books that I picked up this weekend. The total spend was $38, $39.50 if you count the taxes, and the total value of these books, if you pay the cover price and don't have any other discounts, would have been $327.42 Canadian. So for me, this represents a combined savings of $289.42. But that being said, I never would have bought these books at that cover price. So that's the thing. This is a really great way to save money if you want to buy books and stuff, but I don't think that I would have gone for any or all of these books at the cover price that was being asked. Potentially, I would have bought the sequel to the Hurricane Wars or the subsequent volumes of the Three-Bodied Problem if I had read the books and if I had really liked the books. Then I probably would have bought them in the future, but I still would have looked for sales and I still would have looked for better deals. I would have checked the thrift stores, I would have shopped at Book Outlet, and I may have even waited until the prices came down on some of these books. I probably wouldn't have picked up The Just Kid because I've never read her writing before, or Matt Haig because I've never read his writing before, but because these books were so accessible and were for such a great deal, I was able to permit myself to take the chance on these unknown authors, or authors that are at least unknown to me that I haven't read yet. Now, the Frida McFadden book, I haven't had a chance to report on that one to you guys just yet because that's going to be part of my June reading wrap up, which you guys are going to see following this video at some point. But I liked the book enough that I knew that I would pick up more of her books, but I don't think that I would have spent much money on them. And that's an important thing that I want to convey. There's some times when I have books, I don't know if you guys are like this as well, but there's some times where I'll read a book by a certain author and I will say, yeah, this is an author that I would pick up if I saw it at a garage sale, if I saw it at a thrift shop, but I wouldn't go out and spend money to buy it brand new when it's like being published or has just come out or anything like that. So Frida McFadden is one of those authors for me. If somebody hands me the book, I'll read it. If I find it at a thrift store, I'll read it. If it's free, I'll read it, or if it's $2 at a library sale, I'll read it. But I'm not going to go and spend $16.99 on a Frida McFadden book because she's just not that tier of an author for me. So I don't know if you guys have authors like that you feel that way about, or if I'm making sense with what I'm saying, but there's a certain value that I place on how much money I'm willing to spend on a certain author. And that really has to do with whether or not I liked what they have previously written or put out. So hopefully that makes sense. I think we're going to bring the video to a close here. I hope you guys had a good time, maybe discovered some books that you haven't read yet that you might be interested in checking out. If so, please let me know in the comments below. I love to interact with you all. And I want to remind you also, in case you are new here or just need that little bit of a reminder, that there are some interesting links for you to check out down below in the description. One of which is a link to Book Outlet for a coupon code that would help to support this channel. I would receive a $5 discount, and so would you. And the second is my Instagram, which is brand new and really baby, and I am posting pretty regularly on the Instagram if you want to follow me there. And I've got a growing community of people who are very precious to me. So if you guys want to go check out the Instagram account, I would love to have you over there as well. Let me close out the video here. Now I've talked to you about all of that stuff. I hope you had a great time today. Please, take it with a grain of salt. I would have saved 100% if I didn't buy any of these. And we know that. That's something we come here knowing. But again, this is a great way to get some books. I'm going to try and go back to the sale on Saturday and probably throughout the rest of the summer. So you can expect to see more of these videos. Subscribe if this is the type of thing that you like. And I will see you again in the next video when we're doing, I don't know what we're going to be doing, probably the June reading wrap up. So I will see you guys in that one. See you next time. Thanks so much for being here. Ciao for now.